Reggie, very good day to you. It's Torsten. I got your text message. Thank you.
Wow, I appreciate you calling me, sir. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Cool. So you're on the road trucking most of the time, huh?
Yeah, I live in this stupid truck.
Okay, and what, the earnings are just going down, or you just not making what you did in the past, or what?
Yeah, well, it's for what I need to make. Yeah, it's because I got 6 kids, sir.
Yeah, okay. That's a lot. You got a lot of kids to take care of. Yeah. Yeah, let me help you. So the good thing is you're a master at the driving game and you can do long hours. So that's pretty good. Were you thinking of using like one of your own vehicles, or do you have a car that you could use?
Okay, here's the scenarios. I have a 2011 Chrysler Town and Country.
Okay, cool.
It is our only vehicle, and my wife's not thrilled about it.
Okay.
But I can use it, and if needed.
Okay. So what I would do is that vehicle, which is like a minivan, right? It you can register it in Uber XL and Uber X, so you're automatically in 2 categories, right? Those are the two categories that they can put you in. Now they have what they call an Uber hub. An Uber hub is literally an office with some live representatives, live people that can do additional things and give you one-on-one help. Sometimes they're very close to you. Sometimes you have to, I have to drive up to an hour to get to one. But they can be very helpful when it comes to the categories, especially with a minivan. And minivans are good. I love them. I've driven an XL for a long time as well. The good thing about them is that usually you're dealing with larger groups, airport runs, and a lot of luggage. So it's usually associated with tips. So you just let your personality shine, and you'll do very well there. The closest airport, is that fairly? How far is it away from you?
Austin. Well, where I'm located, I'm an hour and a half away from Austin.
Okay.
But I'm also an hour and a half away from San Antonio, and I'm an hour and a half away from College Station.
Okay, but there's would you say those are the 3 major airports? Okay, so you potentially could get some really, really good long runs. I mean, they will come up. I'm not saying every day, but they will come up. If anybody has to fly out internationally or from one of those airports, they pretty much, they have to go your route, especially if they're a large family. They want to be dropped off. They don't want to leave their car at the airport. So a taxi would be way too expensive. So you should be expecting some decent runs there with a minivan. And then the other thing is, once you have reached, there's a certain amount of trips that you have to do to get this Uber referral guarantee or bonus, usually about 30 days. It's very easy to do. And then afterwards, in the second month, I would sign up for Lyft. Okay, if they are in your area, they should be. And when you're driving on 2 platforms with Uber, on X and XL, which they will register for you, they will more than likely also, Lyft would add the Lyft Plus, Lyft Regular, and maybe Lyft Premier. So you potentially could see yourself driving in 4 to 5 different categories. Now this all might sound very strange to you. It just means that these are different platforms that people book, depending on how many people they are. The fares, the rates are different per mile, per minute. But you should be very, very busy ultimately in those 4 categories after 60 to 90 days. Now, you can determine your hours. So let's say your wife needs the car, after school for a few hours, and you have there's an opening for 2 hours. You can grab the car, switch on, get both apps on, take a few trips, and then have the car pretty much back when she needs it. Or if you need to head out at night, you could do that again. That would be a great option right there.
Well, how does this? I've seen some of your videos to get in contact with you for vehicles also.
Yeah,
What are those options?
I lease out vehicles in LA. I have a
Okay.
few that I do in Florida and a few in Hawaii, but those are in conjunction with other partners. But my main business is SUVs and luxury vehicles in LA, and you know the market allows for those vehicles. It's very very different in more rural areas, smaller towns. Usually what does well there is X and XL. If you get into the metropolitan cities like New York, Miami, Chicago, LA, you're pretty busy in all categories. So I'm carefully saying that, you know, SUV and Lux categories probably wouldn't work too well out
Correct.
in
For
your
me.
area. You know, maybe in Austin, definitely in Houston, Texas. A lot of oil boys that want to, you know, be driven around and chauffeured with a more expensive car. But the safest bet for you is X or XL. That's like a you will get your consistent and constant bookings. You know, the XL will not be as frequent as the X, but if you ask them to register your car in X and XL, you'll be extremely busy. You know, which means you could
Okay.
under four passengers or over four passengers. Under four passengers, or you know, 1 to 4 would be X, and then four and above, like five upwards, would be XL. And
Okay, and I can have that platform, both platforms running at the same time, correct?
yeah, now you might be lucky they put you in both right from the word go, right? Because they need drivers out there. If they don't, you have the right to request the second category, which would be X, right? Your car automatically will go into XL. I've driven that car that you have in Hawaii. Great car.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about, right? So, you know, the only time you will get like, let's say you have a group of 4 people that could take a smaller vehicle like an X, but let's say they have a ton of luggage and a lot of suitcases, they will order an XL. They'll order you, right? Um,
Okay.
if you you know on the passenger app, on the rider app where they book you, if they go to UberX and they see, are there any cars around, oh yeah, there's a car 5 minutes away, that one is you, right? It's showing up on the map. And then they move it over, the icon over to XL, and they see the same car. They then book the X knowing that they're going to get an XL, an upgraded car. Do you understand? Those are more
Yes.
the veteran passengers that know how to trick the system a little bit. But regardless, you're going to get their booking. So that would usually be a group of 4 that intended to get an X, but they're just trying their luck and they say, oh, this guy is also registered in XL. We'll just book him as an X and pay a lesser fare, get a bigger vehicle. Some people do that. I'd say about 10% of the market does that, but you don't have to worry about it. It's still a trip, you know?
Okay, now I didn't speak for the numbers of $1,500 a week. Now in that, I'm used to working all the time and never being home. Now I'm going to be applying that to this. I would like to be home a little more often than I am now,
Yeah.
but in working 12, 15, 20-hour days and taking a day off during the week, is that a feasible number to be shooting for?
Well, look, I mean, that's why I respect your job, right? Because you guys are, I mean, you're just very hardcore, dedicated workers, right? And just not everyone is cut out to do that. So you know that you can get on the road for a certain amount of hours, and you know how to do that. So you're not going to have any difficulties as far as dictating your hours, whatever they may be, in 7 days, right? So if you feel like, hey, I want to have a few free hours here with the family or with the kids, you can pretty much jump in that car any time of the day. What I call those graveyard shifts, especially on Friday and Saturday after 2 o'clock in the morning, um, you know, they're pretty busy because uh, drivers usually will start resting then, you know, they'll go to bed. And you might have a good run from 2 in the morning till 5, 6 in the morning. Then suddenly at 6 in the morning it gets busy again because those are usually the times when people go to the airports, right? Or 5:30, 5, 6. That's sort of the pattern in LA, Orange County, San Diego, where I'm right now. That's where I'm driving. You know,
And now, what would I need to do to get involved with doing airport runs? Is there?
well,
I'm assuming I'm not just going to be able to just show up to the airport and be like, "Hey, I'm here."
no. The way it works is, I mean, when you register, you assigned, to your zip code. That's pretty much where you start off from. You're switching on the Uber app, you're switching on the Lyft app, and then the bookings come in wherever they take you. Let's say they take you to the airport and you do what they call an airport drop off. You drop them off at the terminal, you unload the luggage for them. Hopefully, they give you a nice tip. Hopefully, it's a nice long drive. Okay. Then you might as well stick around by the airport or just outside the airport. You can Google that. You can Google the San Antonio and Austin airports to see where the holding lots are. And then you just wait for the next trip out. Now that next trip out could keep you in Austin, could keep you in San Antonio, or could go a whole different direction, right? The bottom line is, at the end of the day, if you want to start working your way back home, there is a thing called a destination filter. And you could set your destination back to your city with the hopes that if somebody wants that trip, you're definitely going to get it. So you might find yourself, like, if I'm in Orange County and I want an hour trip back to LA, I'll set my destination filter for, because I want to get back to LA, I set it for LAX, let's say, for the airport. And the next thing, I pick up a guy, it takes me all the way through to the airport, and then maybe another 30 minutes. They allow you 2 destination filters per day. So you just use them wisely, and usually it's usually when you want to make your way back and you want to still get a trip out of it and try to maximize your earnings in that last hour. Instead of driving back empty back to your house to go and rest, hopefully you can pick up something along the way. So that's how their system is designed. I sort of think that you might have a lot of really good airport runs, because if in your city or surrounding cities, those are truly the only closest airports, you might find yourself getting a few good runs. Those are $90 plus runs, $90 to $120 runs. Your gas on that might be 15, 20 at most, 15, so those should end up being good trips for you. But as you try out different times and from Monday to Sunday, you'll quickly figure out when and where. Like, where should I be at what time? Where should I start in the morning? Where should I be in the afternoon? Saturday night is party night. Obviously, you'll be around the party areas. So you will see this repetitive pattern, right? And then any concert or music events, sports events, those are big money paying days. If you are close to a sports arena, if you are close to a concert, you'll make a lot of money. Does that make sense? I mean, when
Yes, sir.
when the people come out at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, let's say San Antonio Spurs has played and you happen to be in San Antonio, that's where you want to be at 10:30 at night, because you would get a surge, which is maybe 2-3 times the normal rate, and wherever that trip takes you. So that's how I really make good money. Is I have a 30-day calendar. For LA, it's pretty simple because there's so much going on, but you just want to see what's going around your city. Where are the big arenas where there's multiple people? Could be a rodeo. I say rodeo. How do you say it? How do you say it in Texan rodeo, or what? How do you? Rodeo, yeah. So like when I was out in Houston, I went to a couple of big dance events and rodeo events, and there were a lot of Ubers there. So they have, they'll suddenly get a huge demand of trips, and if the supply of cars is low, the surge goes up. That means you're earning 2 to 3 times the amount.
Okay.
So
Now, am I going to be able? Is there something I'm going to need to do with Uber or Lyft, or am I allowed to just, if I Tuesday morning I'm sitting there getting ready to go, and I want to go to Austin or San Antonio, and can I just drive to that city and just start the app, or do I need to register which city I'm in?
Well, you have to register. It's based on your driver's license, right? So that's where you would register. You can negotiate like roaming rights. If you want to if you want to roam into other areas, you could talk to the hub about it. Lyft is way more generous as far as where they set the boundaries. Now if you're taking a person from your city to the airport, I mean, they will let you take the whole 1.5 hour run. The question is when you switch off and you've dropped that person off, right? And you're trying to go back online, will they allow you to go online because you're suddenly in a whole different city 1 hour away, which means you're in somebody else's territory. Do you know what I mean? So what I do then is, and I talk to the hub and say, hey, here's the predicament that I'm in. I'm in this town an hour away from all the big hubs. I think some of my trips will take me here, but can I get these roaming rights? And that's why I like Lyft a lot, because Lyft is very generous when it comes to, the radius around your city. They actually allow you to stay online for way longer and pick up trips in completely different neighborhoods and cities, as long as it's in your state of Texas, right? So Uber is a little different there. So you'd want to consult with a hub. I would Google the closest hub to you. My guess it would be in Austin or San Antonio, and you might have to drive down there. But then you can ask all the tough questions because it is a little different from state to state.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how to contact anybody at Uber or Lyft, so.
With Lyft, it's very frustrating. You'll be working through a website or an app. With Uber, they do have a 24/7 phone line. Usually these people are at call centers overseas and don't know your city. That's why you'd want to really go physically into one of those offices with a person that lives in that city and understands the surroundings. One of your fellow Texan mates down there would be able to help you with direct questions versus getting somebody on an overseas line who has no damn clue where you are.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? And then if you have other questions that arise, you could just text or call me, and I usually get back to the people right away when I'm finished a trip, and then I can maybe help you with other little things, because there will be questions coming up here and there. But you have nothing to lose. You register through a referral link. My referral links are under the video. You get your referral bonus. You get signed up, right? And the registration process, basically, you're uploading your registration document of that car, the insurance document, which has to show your name. You then enter your banking details so you can get paid. You upload your driver's license. Then they will call you in for an inspection of the vehicle, make sure the tires and windows and air conditioning, everything works. Takes 10, 15 minutes. That could possibly take place in Austin or San Antonio, whichever is the closest they call you to. And then the next thing is then 72 hours later, they'll say, hey, you know what? You passed the background check. Everything is cool. There's no DUIs. There's no criminal records or any of that nonsense. And you're good to go. At that moment, you can switch on the app, go online. And then what happens when you're online, you pretty much have to be ready. You could be sitting in your kitchen having a meal and it goes off, right? So it's a big loud beeping noise on your phone. You have like 10 seconds to lock it in. You click it, and then a navigation system pops up and says, okay, head over in that direction and pick the person up at that address. And it navigates you to the passenger. It's done very, very, it's simple, stupid, right? You can't really go wrong. The moment you're there, it'll automatically say you've arrived. The person will get in the car, you greet them, and then it says like on your phone, start trip. And then you click start trip, you swipe it, and then it starts you're now in a navigation system that'll take that person to his destination. You do not know their destination until they sit in the car and you start the trip. You know what I mean? You don't know where they're going. You have no clue. You do know where you have to pick them up, but when they're in the car and you start the trip, only at that point will you know where they're going. If you knew that they were just going down the road, too many people would cancel and would not take the person, you know. So it makes sense, right? Just to keep it fair.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm just
Cool.
It's a whole new business venture. I've been an owner operator for a long time, and it's not worth it out here.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Right.
The government's gotten too involved and just taking all their money. So.
Yeah. And you look, I mean, you have nothing to lose. You could do it for 2 weeks and say, hey, you know what, this is working great for me. Or, you know, or I'm exceeding my expectations, or I'm not meeting my expectations. If you're not meeting your expectations, then I would just change up driving times, because I think you will see that your very early hours might be very good for you. You know, because there might be people heading out at 5:30 that need a hour and a half trip so that they can get a early flight out, because maybe they need to be, you know, an hour away in another city for a meeting, so they have to fly out at 7 or 8, and you drive them at the airport at 5 or 6. So you want to break the patterns up and see what works best for you. Is it a Saturday night? Is it a Friday night? Is it after the kids are, you know, back at the house? You can jump in the car for a few hours and business is over, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. You'll quickly figure it out what's going on and where the most money is to be made. That takes about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Cool.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, sir.
You're most welcome, and drive safe. And if you have any questions, you know who to call, okay?
Yes, sir.
Cheers. Have a fantastic day in Texas. Bye-bye then. Bye.
All right. Have a blessed day.
You too, buddy. Bye. So that's an amazing soul. That's an amazing person. I can tell it just by his gentle and kind demeanor. You know, and by the way, I was just testing out some lights for Halloween. Halloween's coming up. And then suddenly I got this call and I saw Texas and I thought it could be an interesting call. We turned it into a video. So the gentleman is a trucker. He has 6 kids. He's got to make it work. They have a town and country, a minivan. We spoke about his options. He seems to live an hour to an hour and a half away from San Antonio and Austin. I'll anticipate that he'll get some good runs there. In his local area, he might not be too busy depending on how many drivers there are in his field there, in that pond, right? But great call, great content, great questions that he had. And hopefully I was able to guide him a little bit along to the next step. In that case, it would really pay off getting in a car and going to a hub, just to make double sure you've dotted all your, you've covered all the bases. Drive safe, my friends.